Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be instant dates that can lead to sex. Well, I've got 3 emails that I'm going to go through with you today. And obviously the topic is going to be seduction, how to meet somebody and start a date right on the spot that ultimately can lead to sex either that day or within the days preceding after your first meeting if the both of you are not able to spend the whole day together. But it's really nice to be able to have that because once you understand this and once you get this, you literally can fly and be dropped anywhere in any city in the world and meet somebody and have a great connection, great chemistry, and literally create a great fun-filled romantic opportunity for sex to happen. Because at the end of the day, 2 people who like each other and who have the time to spend together, I mean, that's what all women dream about, is meeting that special guy, and boom, there's this magical connection, just like all the romance novels happen to have, or all the favorite love story movies or the girl movies that everybody goes and sees that are the romantic comedies or the love stories. All women want to be in a love story. That they want something that just, they're going about their daily lives and all of a sudden, bam, something just happens. They meet somebody, there's chemistry there, and things just effortlessly flow ultimately to a successful conclusion in the bedroom. Now, what tends to happen in most guys' lives, and most women for that matter, because most guys just don't understand this stuff, is they meet somebody and then somewhere along the way, there's a train wreck. Something happens that turns her off and inhibits a successful seduction. So I'm going to go through these 3 emails here. Before we get into it, I've got a short quote that I wrote on this topic, and then we're going to go and I'm going to analyze this guy's emails. And the quote says, "Failure to live in the present moment and appreciate where you are, even though it may not be where you ultimately want to be in the future, is essential to enjoying your life, creating attraction, and maintaining attraction with members of the opposite sex. When we focus on and worry about the future or the past, it takes us out of the present moment and inhibits us from being fully present with whoever we are spending time with. This will lead to suffering and problems creating and maintaining attraction. Learning to go with the flow and inviting others to join us on our exciting journey of life, instead of trying to force, manipulate, or cajole them to, is essential to achieving your pickup, dating, and relationship goals." Now, what's interesting about this quote that I just shared is this really applies to every relationship that you're going to have in your life. Your business life, I mean, think about it. If you're in sales, being in sales really is about creating a friendship. And if you're focused on the commission check that you're going to make and you're already spending your dollars on your commission that you're going to make in your mind when you're hanging out with or spending time with a prospective client, and you're like, especially if you really need that commission or if you need to make a sale, if you're in that place, you're basically coming from a fearful place that says, I don't deserve to have what I want, and I'm fearful that this person is not going to do business with me. And so what do? They try to force things. They try to twist the arm. They apply some pressure to the client. And the client can feel that, especially the more successful, more well-off, and more savvy the client is, the more they're going to be attuned to that. The more they're going to feel you're literally going to express it in your physiology, where your physiology tends to hunch over, almost as if you're literally physically hunching over, trying to force that person to go where you want to be. And so it's really, not only does this apply with pickup skills, dating skills, and relationship skills, but it applies in business, it applies in your career, and also applies in friendships. I mean, think about it. If you're hanging out or you want to hang out with people that are really popular and really successful, and you're trying to force yourself to be around them, and you're trying to force yourself to participate in conversations, and you're interjecting things, because what's really going on is you're not in the present moment. You're all focused on what may or may not happen in the future. In other words, they like you, they do business with you, they invest with you, they go out on a date with you, they give you that job that you want. It's really getting to a place where you're cool with either possibility, where when someone or something shows up or a circumstance shows up in your life, you have the ability to interact with that person or group of people or that circumstance in order to get the outcomes that you want. In other words, able to successfully get what you want. Because really, life is all a negotiation, and you don't get what you want necessarily in life. You don't get what you deserve. You only get what you negotiate. So you got to think of life as kind of all a negotiation. And you got to, whether it's a potential customer or somebody that you want to date or spend time with, you have to give that other person the space and the time, and you got to develop your sensory acuity enough to where you're focused on the body language and the facial expressions and the tone of the voice and the actual words that the people are saying and how many words they're saying in relation to how much you're saying when you're with somebody. So because everybody that's watched this has probably encountered an obnoxious salesperson in their life. Somebody that was really applying some serious pressure to get you to do what they wanted. How did that make you feel? Probably not very good, and you probably didn't do business with that person, but you remembered not so much what they said, but you remembered how they made you feel. And that's a key thing. From every interaction, people walk away. They're not necessarily going to remember what you said. They're always going to remember how you made them feel. So let's go ahead and jump right into this first guy's email. And he does a really great job of meeting somebody and creating a date when he's just getting his car worked on, basically. And this is what happens, because you just never know when you're going to meet somebody and have an amazing chemistry. You could be getting an oil change in your car. You could be at the mall. You could be at your favorite restaurant. You could be at a social event. You could be at a party. You could be shopping in the grocery store. You could be at the beach. And it just happens, and you got to be ready for it, but you got to practice. It's like what I talk about in my book and what I say all the time in my videos. It's like one of the things that I do with a lot of clients that are having a hard time getting dates or going out on dates or improving their skills. Say, ask out 100 women over the next 30 days. Ask 100 of them out. Because by the time you get to woman number 100 that you ask out, the fear that you had when you were on the first, second, third, or fourth one is going to be way less when you get to woman number 100. It's like you got to get to the point where it doesn't bother you. It's like literally going to the drive-thru line at McDonald's and ordering a Happy Meal. It's when it gets to the point where it's that easy for you and it's that comfortable, then it's not really a big deal. Then you can really focus on what you need to do in the moment to successfully lead that either to a seduction or to getting a phone number or setting a date, whatever it happens to be. So this guy says, "Hey coach, this past Friday I met a woman while getting my oil changed at a dealership. I started talking to her and noticed her attraction level was pretty high. Game on." Good job. He says, "I told her to come grab a coffee with me and walked off." In other words, it's like, just like I said in the quote, he's grabbing a cup of coffee and he invites her. "Hey, why don't you grab a cup of coffee and come along with me?" And he says, "She followed and we started chatting." And this is all, he's being a leader. He's being the alpha male. He's got something cool going on. "Hey, come along with me." This is the most exciting opportunity she's come across all day. Of course she goes, and obviously she must dig him. He says, "I next lead her outside so we could check out some new cars. Then we ended up test driving a sports car. It was like we've known each other for years." He's getting his car worked on, so he's going to be there, and he's waiting for things to be done to his car, and so is this woman. So he's at the car dealership. "Hey, let's go test drive a sports car." That's an adventure. That's an unexpected adventure. That's an unexpected love story. This is what all women dream about. Meeting a guy randomly and boom, connection happens and you feel like you've known them forever. He says, "My car was done when we returned from the test drive and she really liked my car, so I said, 'Do you know how to drive stick?' And she said, 'Hell yeah.' So I said, 'Well, I normally don't let people drive her, but you're kind of cute.' And I handed her the keys. She was really excited." Fucking brilliant, dude. Just total leadership, alpha energy. Great fucking job. This is what you want to do. He says she took some back roads and I determined that she wanted to spend more time together. So I told her, let's grab a drink and hang out. Perfect. He says, turn here and pull into that restaurant. Notice how he's basically telling her what to do. He's not being a control freak, but he's just being the leader. He's like, hey, let's go here. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. And she's being submissive and going totally along with it. Why? Because he's in his masculine. And this allows her to totally be in her feminine where she can just enjoy the adventure as it evolves in real time. He's not thinking about where am I going to take her to later? How am I going to have sex with her? What are our kids going to be like? When are we going to have our first date? When is it time to bring up the relationship talk? None of that's going on. He's just hanging out and having fun. He says she agreed. We hung out and had a blast. A few beers with lunch, fun conversation, lots of touching and flirting. Where's the kissing? That's obviously the next thing that should be happening. She even took off a layer of her top to show off her hot body. She's revealing herself to you. This is what happens. She feels safe and comfortable. Remember, women are physically designed to receive us, so she's taken off some of her clothing, maybe to reveal her shoulders, or her arms, or maybe her boobs, whatever it happens to be. She's being vulnerable. She's opening more of her beauty up to you so she can receive more of your strength. She eventually mentioned that she had a live-in boyfriend. Oops. And I acknowledged that and then blew it off. I used your, he can keep you busy when you're not with me. He says that line is very effective and I use it with success often. It really is a great line. And it does work well because it diffuses the situation. Because what it does is it keeps you in the present moment. It communicates that you're not worried about the other boyfriend. You're just focused on having some fun together. But the thing you got to realize is that she's enjoying this little adventure. She lives with her boyfriend. And she's hanging out with you. Potentially, and revealing more of herself, potentially so sex can happen. So what does that tell you? Obviously, her live-in boyfriend's really not that exciting to her. And being loyal to him really isn't that big of a deal. And plus, she's bringing up the live-in boyfriend. That way, if sex happens, it's your fault because, hey, after all, she says, I have a boyfriend. And she told you, but you continued on. And therefore, if the sex happens, she can blame it on you and take no responsibility for it. Because after all, she told you she had a boyfriend. And you're like, hey, it doesn't matter. He can keep you busy when you're not with me. He says, while she was driving back to the dealership, she said, this day was the most fun I have had in a while. Who would have known that I would have met a guy like you and had so much fun while waiting in my car to get fixed? Well, I mean, what I would have personally done, unless obviously she had to go and do something, the idea is that you lead it to a successful conclusion in the bedroom. And that means that you just keep hanging out and you keep having fun. And at some point when you make the move and you're making out, you say, hey, let's get out here and grab a bottle of wine and go back to my place. Or, hey, let's get out here and would you care to join me back at my place for a glass of champagne? That's the way. Or in the mode of the way you're saying, another good way to approach it is just, hey, let's get out here and go back to my place and have a glass of champagne. I got a bottle in the fridge. What a coinky-dink. Always be prepared. Because this is why I say your fridge should have a bottle of champagne and 2 glass champagne flutes in the freezer. Or coffee or tea, whatever it is you happen to drink. If you're not a drinker, that's okay. I'm just saying always be prepared for things like this to happen because you just never know. And if you don't get prepared ahead of time, think about it. If you presuppose that things are going to successfully conclude in your bedroom, then it's just a matter of time before that happens, and that's why you should always be ready. He says, we'll do it again sometime. And she said, yes, and I was thinking I needed to give you my number. This is exactly what happened, the same way it happened with the girl, one of the women I wrote about in my book who happened to be on a date. Well, I should say, she used to date this guy that I worked with, but they were still kind of hanging out and hooking up, but they weren't really together officially, and this is exactly what she does. This shows a high level of attraction. I need to give you my number. In other words, I want you to contact me. That's what she's saying. She wants to continue having fun and see where it goes. He says, I dropped the subject. That was, I would have said, yeah, well, let me give you a number. I would have exchanged the numbers right then and there. But one thing I would have done, unless, because obviously he doesn't say it here, but if your afternoon was free and her afternoon was free, she could have blown off other things that she was doing. It sounds like maybe this was a weekend or something like this. And you potentially could have led it to a successful conclusion, and she would have hooked up with you, and you would have been the guy that she's cheating on her boyfriend with. But what you got to understand about women like this is there's a lot of women that are out there in the world that are like this. They're in a relationship, and when something happens like this, they'll cheat. Don't ever delude yourself into thinking that this kind of woman will always be loyal. She'll be loyal as long as she's happy, and obviously she ain't that happy with her boyfriend. But when she's not happy, she wants her needs to be fulfilled, and she doesn't see anything wrong with doing this. Now, a woman who has a lot of integrity and who loyalty and family and relationship and commitment and all those things and keeping a word means something to her, she's not going to put herself into this position. She's going to say, I would so love to hang out with you, but I have a boyfriend, but you're amazing. That's what she would say to you. So you got to understand that this is a hookup, a friends with benefits, a sex playmate, just a casual romance, a casual hookup. But this is what typically happens. The guys get in these situations, they get all in their head and they start thinking, what about this? What about the boyfriend? How do we deal with that situation? How do I get her to ditch him and only want to be with me? And this is what happens. The guy gets all in his head, and as soon as you start thinking like that, and you're totally out of the present moment. You're now in the future. And then you went from having a good time and being totally 100% present with her to now she can tell you're not fully present. That creates a weird and an awkward vibe, and it starts to reduce attraction because now you're starting to act a little weird and a little creepy. And then she's going to back up and withdraw a little bit and not, put her top back on, cover the skin up, that kind of thing. He says, when we pulled in the dealership, we talked and joked around. Then I initiated by asking for her card and gave her mine as well. I hugged her tight. I definitely wouldn't have done that, dude. She was ripe. She was ripe to hook up and have some sex. Held her and whispered into her ear, keep in touch. She didn't want to let go and said, will do. Normally I would have touched her neck and kissed her, but there was an audience of mechanics looking, were probably wondering, how the fuck did this guy just pick up this hot girl from waiting room and take off with her all day? That's exactly why you should have kissed her, dude. It's like, come on, man, you had her right there. You see what happened? You became fearful because in your mind you're going, holy shit, I can't believe how well this shit works that Corey teaches. Oh my fucking God, I can't believe this is happening to me. But hey, it's the first time, obviously, it's happened. It's understandable. Because this is one of those oh shit moments that if you've been following me for a while, I say, even if you think I'm a jackass, just apply what I teach. Like, this is what happens. And the guy gets into this situation, he's going, it's like total sensory overload for him because I can't believe this. You're right, girls want to be in a love story. I know I'm fucking right. You're experiencing it. See, he was skeptical, he didn't believe me, and then it happens. And because he didn't fully commit and believe and be prepared, look what happens. He could have successfully led this to an afternoon lay. It would have been great. But that's okay, because you did really awesome. He says she does have a live-in boyfriend of 2 years. My plan is to walk away and let her come to me if she decides to hang out, have fun, and hook up. That's really all you can do. Alpha male, you don't chase women that have a boyfriend. She's got your number. She said, I should give you my number, and she's got yours. So I would say there's probably a good chance that she'll get in touch. It's like flip a coin. But this is a win, dude. You did fantastic here. Good fucking job. Pat yourself on the back. This is progress. This is how you learn. These are wonderful experiences. These are great experiences to share with your buddies. Just next time, you'll want to obviously seal the deal. Because she may hook up and cheat on her boyfriend, and then you never speak to her again. And that you may never hear from her again. If you don't, then all you know is that she wants to stay with her boyfriend, but she was definitely down to hook up. He says, however, I don't want to encourage bad behavior, cheating on him. Come on, man. You encourage lots of that behavior. I also want her to respect me and not think I am okay with being a backup boy. Dude, you're just simply the guy that she has random sex with. That's all. You see, you're all in your head worrying about, okay, well, what kind of label can I put on this event? And that's why it didn't lead to a successful conclusion in the bedroom. He says, I also want to keep her attraction high in the event she wants to escalate things further. Question, how should I proceed with this when she contacts me without falling into the other guy or the let's be friend traps. Well, if she contacts you, she's not going to contact you just to be friends. She's contacting you in hopes that you create an opportunity for sex to happen, dude. How can I keep her attraction level high without enticing her to cheat? Dude, just go ahead and hook up with her. If that's what you're looking for, because on one hand, deep down, it's what you want. Obviously, you wrote the email in, but you're also kind of feel guilty because you're thinking in the back of your mind, I want to be your boyfriend. And it's the wrong way to go about it. Bottom line, if she presented herself, if you want to hook up, but it's not my job to judge you. My job is to help you get what you want as a coach. I'm not here to be your moral compass. I don't have any right to judge you any more than you have a right to judge me and how I live my life or how you live your life. It's just you wrote in, obviously, the underlying theme here, it looks like you pretty much wanted to hook up with this girl. So I would do nothing, and I'm presupposing that's what you really want. So if she reaches out, hey, great to hear from you. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together? Make a drink. Or make a date to meet up for a drink, I should say. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. Do it in a place that's near where you live so you can present that to her. Hey, why don't we get out of here and go back to my place and have a glass of champagne? I got a bottle in the fridge. What a quinky dink. Hey, that sounds great. That's what I would do. Like I said, I would have kissed her and started making out, and that would have led to heavy petting. But she was definitely down to hook up, dude. But it's a win either way. I mean, you did fucking fantastic. So let's get into the second guy's email. He says, hey, coach, about 2 months ago, I met this girl on Hot or Not app. We decided to Skype, and first we were so excited to talk to each other, and after about 4 days of talking and Skyping, we decided to meet up. She's hot, short hair, hazel eyes, and totally fit. And she's a soccer coach. I'm 6 foot tall, 165 pounds. I love the gym, and I'm pretty handsome. She came over in the morning, and honestly, I told her everything about myself. I did not know you 2 months ago, and she was the reason why I found you on YouTube. Well, obviously, things did not go so well in the end. He says, I took her to an expensive breakfast, and then we talked for an hour about our past. She broke up with her boyfriend in November of 2013. They dated for almost 3 years. She sounded like she'd moved on. She's 19 now, and I'm almost 21. I took her to my place after that, and things started to get a little fun. And yes, I did have sex with her. Good fucking job. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. But to me, it was not okay because I started to have erection problems after my roommates got home. Aww. This is where practice comes in handy. And if you're used to these things, if you're used to hooking up and not giving a shit what your roommates think, I mean, your roommate's going to be high-fiving you afterwards. That's going to happen. She told me it's okay. It happened to her ex before. A week later, I met her at her house, and she lives half an hour away from me, and she's also adopted. We pretty much Skyped and texted every day for the first 2 weeks. We should be making dates and hanging out and having fun and hooking up. But obviously, you didn't know that at the time. She told me everything about herself, her family, and her past. Same here. Now you're an open book. The more she knows about you, if she knows everything about you, eventually she's going to get bored. It's like you tell her enough to keep her excited. It's like show business. You always leave them wanting more. There's always a cliffhanger. It's not that you don't tell her these things. You make her work to get to know you. In other words, she has to ask. You don't just volunteer things. Or I say you don't just volunteer everything. You tell a few stories here and there about yourself, but just make sure she's doing 70 to 80% of the talking and telling you what's going on in her life. That way, you're going to remain mysterious. I bought her an iPhone case as a gift. Now you're buying gifts. Bad way to go. Later she told me she loved it, but I never saw the new case on any of her selfie pictures. On a second date, well, obviously she didn't love it that much. On a second date, I went there and we had a great time. There's a lot of talking, but very little spending time together. But I did not see any signs to go for the kiss. We did talk about relationships and how I really want somebody who is not a cheater or a gold digger. I talked about how much of a gold digger my ex was. Don't talk about your ex-girlfriends in a bad light to somebody that you're trying to date. Just because they're going to naturally think, okay, well, if we're no longer dating, this is how he's going to talk about me when I'm no longer in his life. She knew I won the lottery, and the only people who knew was my best friend and her. The prize, it's like, in other words, you're probably bragging about it at this point. Hey, I won the lottery, I got money. The prize was a few $1,000s, but I wanted to test her, so I told her it was a Powerball. Now you're lying. You're trying to prove yourself to her. And this communicates that you don't feel like you have enough within you for her to want to stick around, and therefore, hey, I got this Powerball thing that I won. I told her it was the first night I Skyped her, and after the date I thought something wasn't right. Well, no kiss. She stopped holding my hand after 20 minutes. See, the thing is that when a woman withdraws her hand when you're holding hands, you got to let her go and wait for her to come back. Now, what most guys do, and you're going to see her in a second, is she's not touching, and now he tries to force the issue. It's a bad way to go. He says, and then he says, I tried to have my arm around her, or I tried to just have my arm around her. You see this all the time in public. You'll see guys walking down the street with a girl. He's got his arm around her like this, and where are her arms? Down at her side, or they're crossed. That's a guy that's totally clueless. You see that? You can go up right now, anywhere where there's dozens of people, and you're going to fucking see that. That is a guy who doesn't get it. Women are like cats in that respect. When they're holding hands with you and they let go, let them go. When they want to hold your hands again, they'll come back and start holding your hand, or they'll put their arm back around you. We set the next date a few days later, and she also texted me right after setting up the date in the coming days, saying that she does not really see a connection. You see, you're trying to force things, and already now she's trying to friend zone you. You see how quickly things started out? And then within a couple of weeks, only 2 dates, you've already pretty much got her to the point where she wants to friend zone you. And the fact that I won the lottery is messing with her. Well, she's just using that as an excuse. Plus, probably that you're constantly talking about it, trying to make yourself feel important. In other words, to make up for something that you feel you lack inside. He says, I called her an hour later for 30 minutes telling her that time will make it right. Our third date came and she almost canceled it, saying that she had to meet up with her family. I took her about an hour away for a fun trip for the day to Italian pizza for lunch. Oh, you're going on lunch dates. She was on her phone and I knew she was checking out other guys. I could see her eyes looking at other dudes. She could not make it to dinner because she had to be home before 6 p.m. I went right for a kiss and success. And when I drove back to my place, she said she'll have to go home now because she's not feeling good. Yeah, your sensory acuity is like non-existent, dude. She had 2 more hours to hang out, but she said my knee hurts from soccer and all the other BS and left. I kissed her again, and we knew our next date was next week. So now you're setting your 4th date at the end of your 3rd date. Another blunder. That's when I found you, Coach. She texted saying I'm sick and can't make it tomorrow, so she canceled. I said, let me know when you feel better, and later that night she posted a picture on Instagram that she was shopping. He says, really? She's sick for me, but she has time to go shopping. What does that tell you? She didn't want to spend time with you, dude. So probably with some other dude too. Probably. She even told me other dudes are blowing up her phone. In other words, I'm already talking to your replacement, bro. I said these dudes are awful. Now you're trying to sandbag the competition by saying bad things about them. I was mad, but did not say anything. After 5 days, I called her. Mistake, dude. When a woman cancels the date, you just say, hey, great. Well, when you're feeling better, give me a call and we'll plan something then. This is a major mistake. You started following me at this point, but then you continue to act the same way you've always acted. She hung up first, called again, and I went on to voicemail. I said, hey, honey, I want to see how you're doing. Let me know when you're free so we can get together. And that was the middle of March. Last night she texted me at 11 p.m. saying, hey, how's it going? I said, hey, honey, great to hear from you. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together? She said, I want to clear something up between us. I said, okay, call me. She said, no, my roommates are all sleeping. I said, okay, go ahead then. And she said she still does not see a connection or feelings for me, and her feelings for me won't go any deeper, but she just sees me as a friend. So now you've officially been friend zoned. And I said, honey, I'm not okay with being friends. I don't want to be your friend, and my feelings about you are more than friends. I don't want to be your gay male girlfriend. Let me know if you change your mind and have a great life. He says, I think she got mad. She said, wow, I thought you were different. I'm just going to delete your number then. Bye. I said, I'm different, so you put me in friend zone? Come on, honey. And she said, yeah, because I think you could be my friend even if we did not date. I said again, no, my feelings are different about you. Now, instead of arguing, let me know how your schedule is so we can get together. And you're ignoring the fact that she's trying to friend zone you and you're trying to force another date with her. You're not paying attention to that. You got to do the takeaway. You got to say, well, I'm not interested in being friends only, so give me a call if you change your mind because I'd love to see you. But I'm not interested in being friends. That just doesn't work for me. She didn't reply. I texted her this morning. So now you're continuing to pursue her after she blew you off, dude. You're trying to force things. You're ignoring reality. And just like Ayn Rand says, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So he says, I texted her this morning saying, I think I'm really turned off now. You are obviously seeing others. Same here. Keep my number and let me know if you change your mind. It's basically what you're doing here is you're calling her to say, hey, I'm not going to call you anymore. In other words, you're trying to force her hand. You're taking some kind of action to try to force her to chase you. It doesn't work, dude. He says, Coach, I really liked her. Honestly, deep down, I did not want to end this, but where are my mistakes and is there a chance for me? Probably not at this point. I read your book once online and I just ordered it too. I also got some new numbers last week and I even went on one date, but this girl was just different. I did not expect that coming and it's fucking with my head. I would do nothing. You got to wait to hear from her. And if she ever reaches out to you, assume she wants to see you and then make a date. Don't ever call or text her again because she's friend zone you. When a woman tries to friend zone you and you continue to call her, it communicates to her that you are acquiescing to her demand of friendship. In other words, you're being submissive. You're going along with it. On one hand, you're saying, I'm not interested in friendship. And then she says, I'm only interested in friendship. And yet you continue to call her. Bad way to go, dude. You'll never be successful doing it. You got to walk and never look back. And make sure she does 100% of the calling, texting, and pursuing from this point forward. And if she does, make a date. Otherwise, I'd say there's a pretty good chance you'll never hear from her again. So let's get into the third and final email. This guy says, hey, Coach. Anyway, I've been applying what you teach, and it's working, but somehow this girl that I'm interested in is still confused sometimes. And sometimes she looks at me like she wants to fuck me on the spot and is really warm and approaching, but sometimes she's distant and cold. The last few weeks I've noticed that every time I said that I missed her, she didn't really reply or respond to it. Yeah, because you're acting like a woman. This particular guy has written me before, and I've answered him in emails, and it's the same problem. He's trying to force things. He's trying to force himself upon her, and he's trying to twist her arm to force things along because he can recognize that she's not reciprocating. And when you recognize that a woman's not into you, you just back off and wait till those feelings come back or they develop. And you're not doing that. And that's why you're not getting anywhere. He says, so I told her that it wasn't fair for me to not know where I'm standing with her. One day she seems in love with me, and another she seems to not know. That's what she told me. So in other words, what she's saying, some days I'm really into you, and sometimes like I'm confused. And what's basically going on is that when she's really into you, you're allowing her to come to you. Her feelings have developed, and she wants to see you. And then what happens is as soon as she reaches out, you go right back to your old behavior of over-pursuing and chasing her, and she gets back to, I don't know, I'm confused. Because what happens is sometimes you act like a man, and you let her come to you, and you make dates that can lead to sex. And then there's other days where you pursue her, and you act like a woman. Just the fact that you're saying, it's not fair for me to not know where I'm standing. An alpha male knows where he stands. You're acting like a beta male. You're acting like a woman, dude. And that's why you're turning this girl off. Because you're constantly focused on where do I stand? Do you care about me still? Do you want a relationship with me? This is going to turn women off. This is why I say all the time, hang out, have fun, and hook up. Leave the relationship stuff and the commitment talk to women. And this is what happens. When you don't do that, you get lukewarm, flaky responses. She said that she'll try to remember it, and I said that I didn't think it was going to help. She then said that there were only 3 options left. So here's what's going on. You're trying to force her to make a decision because you're not happy that she's not as into you as you are into her. Women are not light switches, dude. So here's the 3 options she says that are left. Number 1, we can continue like this. Number 2, we can go our separate ways and end it once and for all. And number 3, we could take a break from each other so she can try to feel what she feels being away from me and what that is like. And she recommended the last option because she couldn't believe that I shouldn't be in her life anymore. Women have to know that if they push you too far, you're going to walk and never look back. So she's basically saying, I want to feel what it's like for you to walk out of my life and never look back. That's what she's telling you. Because women know. They know that if you walk away and they don't care, then obviously there's nothing there. But if you walk away and it bothers them, that's what you need to do. He says, I agreed, and she was really sad and cried a bit and said that she's sorry if I'm ever going to hate her, and told her that I won't. She then said that we should try it, and when and if she contacts me, and if I told her that it would be too late, that it was her loss. She said she was going to miss me, and that even the thought of doing this gets her to be very nervous, which that's a good thing, because it causes her to wonder and to contemplate how she feels about you and how important you are to. In other words, am I going to be okay with letting you walk out of my life forever and never see or speak to you again? Because she didn't know if she's letting the man of her life go. She just doesn't know what she feels about me. Sometimes she's hot, sometimes she's very cold and distant. It's all reflective of how you're showing up. I think she's trying to figure out whether she wants me or not. But what should I expect, and do you think she'll return to me? Flip a coin. If you haven't completely turned her off by your needy, insecure, over-pursuing, woman-like beta male behavior, she will be back. And if you completely turn her off, you'll never hear from her again. So one way or another, you're going to find out just how important you are to her. Do you think that she's just doing this maybe because we have been all over each other a lot and she suddenly doesn't appreciate me? Again, a woman's actions are directly proportional to how you are showing up as a man. And if she's distant, if she's cold, if she's seemingly not into you, you've got to give her time and space. What should I do now and how? Nothing. She said, I want you to walk away, and therefore, if that bothers me, I'm going to contact you. That's basically what she told you to do. You're going to have to grow a set of fucking steel balls and let her go. Women have to know that if they push you too far, you will walk and never look back. She also said that she's afraid of giving herself to me 100% because she thinks I'll change and be less interested. That's BS. What she's really saying is that if she commits to you 100%, that you're just going to turn her off and she's not going to want to be with you anymore. And be less interested because she's afraid of getting hurt. So what you need to do from this point forward with this particular woman is nothing. You should never call her. You should never text her. You should never pursue her in any way, shape, or form again. When she reaches out to you, assume she wants to see you and make a date. Hang out, have fun, and hook up, and stop hovering all over her wondering when she's going to commit to you, dude. That is why it has not happened yet. And that's why you've gotten a little further than you were the last time you've written to me, but you're basically you're stuck in neutral, not going anywhere, because you're still over pursuing it. Because what happens is, as soon as the girl reaches out, you think, great, now I'll go back right to what I was doing before, and you turn her off exactly the same way you did before. So you can literally see this. So if she's chasing you, why would you want to fuck that up? Let her pursue you and then make dates. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book Skype, phone, or email coaching with yours truly. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and just follow the instructions. And if you'd like to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook or a paperback version of my book, underneath the email sign-up box on my website, there is a picture of my book. If you click on that, it'll take you right to Amazon, and you can either download the book or you can purchase a paperback version. And I will talk to you soon.